What's going on, football lovers? Welcome to my new YouTube channel and straight into the business. The Premier League is back this weekend. International break is done and we're now back in action this weekend. And this video is about Premier League predictions for match day 4. You know, the Premier League is already underway. This is the 4th match day and we've already seen some good performance, some amazing performance, some brilliant match days from match day 1 to 3. And so match day 4 is coming in early. And the first game, of course, is Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. This is an early kickoff. And honestly, I think Arsenal, if you look at Arsenal as a whole, you know, Mikel Arteta has been doing some good job right there. He's built a new full team for Arsenal that can rival Liverpool in terms of the title contender, in terms of a team that can win the Premier League, if not Liverpool. They've done it. They've finished twice for the third consecutive time last season. And one of the reasons they were setting out that they are not able to complete the final part, which is winning a silver or winning the Champions League or something, because they've never won the Champions League, is because they don't have a striker. But now they signed Gyökeres from Sporting, who scored some 50 plus goals. Is coming in to Arsenal with the likes of Odegaard. And also other brilliant signings that they made, Zubi Mendy, Noni Madueke from Chelsea. So I think this season they're going to go full force. They're going to try and bring the pressure because now they're now a complete team. And Mikel Arteta, he has to deliver this season. He has to win something for the Gunners, or I think it might be its last season at Arsenal. So Forest, on the other hand, they sacked their manager, Nuno Espirito. I never understood why, because you know that manager has helped, Forest to where it is right now. They even have European football thanks to that manager. They've brought in the former Tottenham boss, Ange Postecoglou. So it's going to be an interesting match, this one, because Postecoglou in the North London derby, as he was the Tottenham boss. Did he win against Arsenal? No, he didn't. He lost, and I think drew in his first season, something like that. So anyway, for this game, Arsenal, you know, are coming from a defeat at Liverpool, 1-0 defeat. Remember, Dominic Szoboszlai's a wonderful free kick. Forest, on the other hand, they were beat by West Ham 3-0. I think that was one of the reasons why the manager was sacked anyway. So I think Arsenal might just win this narrowly. I'm going for a 2-1 win to Arsenal, and for this early kickoff. The second match is, Bournemouth versus Brighton. You know, these are two mid-table consistent teams that normally cause a lot of damage to big teams. They normally, Brighton, they have a young manager doing some brilliant job. Also, they're just from a recent win against City. They won it 2-1. They came back from a goal down and won after some brilliant substitutes by their manager. Bournemouth, on the other hand, also beat Tottenham 1-0, and it was a game where they dominated Tottenham bar to bar. Every stats, Bournemouth was first and Tottenham came second best. And so I think this is a very, very good game here. And I think they're just going to draw 1-1. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw in that one, because I think both of the teams are very, very much tactical. They have very good managers and they play some good football. The third game is Newcastle versus Wolves. You know, Wolves, to start with, I think they lost a lot of great players. They started the season to a very poor note. Although they won their last game, in fact, they lost their last game to Everton 3-2 after a very emotional match. And then Newcastle, on the other hand, also were held to a draw by Leeds, a goalless draw. So I think Newcastle is just looking to come back to winning ways, you know. So I think Newcastle is going to banter Wolves by 3-0, because I believe Wolves are very weak this season and they might just get relegated, because this season, you know, we have the teams that have been promoted are very, very strong. They've shown that they are going to show competitive performances against the Premier League teams. They're not going to be left behind, in other words. So Newcastle 3, Wolves 0. Everton versus Aston Villa. Everton also under David Moyes, they've been doing some brilliant job. If we look at back into last season when Moyes took over from the other coach, they've done some great job. Moyes, former Man United boss, has done some great job. Now this season they even have a new stadium. So although this one they are going to, in fact they are hosting Aston Villa in the match day 4. They are coming from a win against Wolves 3-2. Aston Villa, on the other hand, they are coming from a very, very embarrassing defeat at Palace. So this another game that Everton, the likes of Grealish there and also other signings. Grealish is the top assister this season with 4 assists. He's linking up very well with the Everton player. So I think this one is just going to be a very good game, and I think I've gone for a 2-1 win to Everton. I think Aston Villa might just lose another game in a row. Then we have Palace versus Sunderland. Having mentioned Aston Villa in the above game, the previous game, because they played with Palace, so I think Sunderland also came from a win against Brentford with Palace. Sunderland is a team that, among the newly promoted teams, Sunderland is the team that has shown that it is ready to cause trouble to these Premier League teams, because of the games, the tactical manager they have, Granit Xhaka, the signings they made, Simon Adingra. So I think they're in for it this season, and they are going to compete relatively with the Premier League teams. So Crystal Palace versus Sunderland, I think they're just going to have a very good game, and I've gone for a 2-2 draw for Crystal Palace and Sunderland. Fulham versus Leeds. Leeds on the other side is also a newly promoted team, and of the games it has played, it has proven that it deserves to be in the Premier League. The recent game they drew a goalless draw with Newcastle. Fulham, on the other hand, they were defeated 2-0 by Chelsea. Although in that game, the Fulham boss Marco Silva was always complaining, that the refereeing is not normally on his side. And I believe if you watched that game, you might have just be on the side of Marco Silva, because they surely deserved better. I mean, they were not treated in the required way. So, but regardless, they still lost to Chelsea. So this game, they'll be moving in with a lot of urge to improve from that poor performance. Leeds, on the other hand, also drew against Newcastle, a goalless draw. Newcastle is a better team. If they could be a big 7, I think Newcastle is the team that could take the 7th position. So I think this game, Fulham might just draw 1-1 with Leeds, or in fact 2-1. I think Fulham are going to win it narrowly. So I'm going Fulham 2, Leeds 1. Then West Ham versus Tottenham. We discussed Tottenham above in the earlier matches when we were talking about Bournemouth. They were beat by Bournemouth 1-0. And then West Ham, on the other hand, also defeated Forest 3-0. West Ham also had a very poor start to the season, but they just picked their first 3 points in that game. Tottenham, Mohamed Kudus going to face his old team, West Ham. I think this just might be another win for Tottenham, because under Thomas Frank, they're doing some very good job. Thomas Frank's tactics are very wonderful, and the chemistry between Mohamed Kudus and Richarlison, we can't wait to see more of that. So I think Tottenham is just going to win this one by 3-1. Then Brentford versus Chelsea. Chelsea, the referee favorites, are going to face Brentford. Brentford this season, they also lost Mbeumo to us. They lost Wissa, not to us. They lost Mbeumo to Man United. Yeah, I support Man United, yeah, but to us, they lost Wissa to Newcastle. They lost their manager to Tottenham. They lost Norgard to Arsenal. So I think they're just another team that is going to find it rough this season, because they've lost nearly all they can, because Mbeumo and Wissa were the main personnel in that team that were lifting the team. Also, when you lose a manager, that means a lot. So I think Chelsea are just going to win, going to have a comfortable win, 2-0 win to Chelsea. And then Burnley versus Liverpool. Burnley are coming in from the Old Trafford. We won 3-2, and a game that we nearly drew. They held Man United at 2-2, but I can't categorize Man United in the same group as Liverpool. So I believe Liverpool are not going to laugh with them. Liverpool are going to humble and embarrass them. I'm going to go Liverpool 4, Burnley 0. And then the biggest match day, the biggest game of the match day, Manchester Derby. Man City are very weak. They have a lot of players out injured. Omar Mamouche, Ryan Cherki, Stones, Phil Foden, Nico O'Reilly, Lewis. I don't know if Lewis is Gavidiol is not ready to play just from an injury. So you can name it. They have many players out injured, and Man United are just about going back to winning ways. They haven't had 2 wins in a row in the Premier League in a long time now. They're just going to they're looking forward to doing that. And so I think they have to take this opportunity where they're facing a weak Manchester City, and they have to go and embarrass them. So we are going to win that game by 3-1. I don't know if that's my Premier League prediction for match day 4. I don't know if you have any alterations or any changes that you'd like to make. You can always make them in the comments. Remember to subscribe to this new channel that I've started, and for more football content, and like this video and share. Thank you. Let's meet in the next video.